It all started with a moment that nobody saw coming, a single act that would shake everything to its core. When 50 Cent decided to leak Remy Ma's private photos, the internet exploded. People didn't believe it at first. Some thought it was fake news, a clout-chasing stunt. But as the images started circulating, reality hit hard. This wasn't a rumor. This wasn't a joke. It was real, raw, and ugly. And at the center of it all was a man who had always kept his cool, Papoose. For years, Papoose had been Remy's ride or die. The man who stood by her when the world doubted her. The man who held her down during her darkest times. His love wasn't just words. It was action, loyalty, and an unshakable bond. But seeing those photos leaked to millions wasn't just a betrayal of privacy. It was a stab straight to his heart. The kind of pain that turns even the calmest man into a storm. At first, Papoose did what many expected. He stayed silent. He didn't post cryptic messages. He didn't rant on social media. But those closest to him knew silence wasn't peace. Behind the scenes, he was a man drowning in heartbreak. Friends said he'd sit for hours, staring at his phone, shaking his head, asking how this could have happened. The betrayal wasn't just from 50. It felt like it was from Remy too, because how could she allow this? How could she have been part of anything that would ever give a man like 50 this kind of weapon? But as the hours turned into days, something inside Papoose shifted. The heartbreak started turning into something else, rage. A silent, burning anger that brewed with every meme, every comment, every joke that flooded the internet. 50 Cent wasn't just mocking Remy. He was mocking Papoose. And that was a line that could never be uncrossed. People started whispering about a confrontation that was bound to happen. Some said Papoose was looking for 50. Others claimed he wanted to settle things face-to-face like men. The hip-hop world held its breath, waiting for the explosion. And then it happened. At a private industry event, fate threw them into the same room. It wasn't planned. It wasn't staged. But when Papoose and 50 locked eyes across the room, everything froze. Witnesses said the tension was so thick you could feel it. 50 smirked, probably thinking it was all a joke. But Papoose wasn't there to laugh. He walked straight toward him, eyes locked, heart pounding, betrayal boiling over. What happened next wasn't caught on video, but the stories from those there painted a clear picture. Words were exchanged, sharp, low, intense. Then, in a move that stunned everyone, Papoose shoved 50 Cent hard enough to make people rush in between them. It wasn't a wild swing or a public brawl, but it was a clear message. This wasn't about internet beef. This was personal, and no amount of security or clout was going to stop a man who had been pushed too far. News of the confrontation spread within hours. Social media blew up with reports, some saying fists flew, others claiming it stopped just short of an all-out fight. But one thing was clear, Papoose had finally snapped. The man known for keeping his cool had reached his breaking point. Behind the scenes, Remy Ma was begging him to stop. Not just with 50, but with everything. She pleaded with him to let it go before things got worse. Some sources said she broke down crying, telling him she never meant for this to happen. She begged him to think about their family, their future, his reputation. But it was too late. The damage was already done, and Papoose wasn't in a place to forgive or forget. Meanwhile, 50 Cent did what everyone expected. He laughed it off. He flooded his Instagram with memes, mocking the confrontation, painting himself as the victim of an overreaction. But behind the scenes, even some of his friends admitted he hadn't expected Papoose to come at him like that. The internet might have seen a joke, but those close to the situation saw a line that had been crossed too far. The public reaction was intense. Fans were divided. Some praised Papoose, saying any man in his position would have done the same. Others criticized him, saying he let 50 get under his skin. People took sides. Arguments exploded online. But at the heart of it all was a man whose world had been shattered and a woman caught in the storm. The internet didn't hold back on Remy Ma either. Some people sympathized with her, saying she was a victim too, dragged into a mess she never asked for. Others blamed her, questioning her silence and her involvement. The love story that once inspired millions had turned into a cautionary tale dissected by strangers. Behind closed doors, things got even darker. Friends close to Papoose and Remy said their relationship was hanging by a thread. Trust was gone. Conversations turned cold. The home that once held so much love now echoed with silence and tension. Rumors even started about Papoose moving out, about divorce papers quietly being prepared. The love that seemed unbreakable was cracking under the weight of betrayal. As days turned into weeks, the story became more than just celebrity gossip. It became a symbol of how betrayal and public humiliation can destroy even the strongest bonds. It wasn't just about leaked photos or a fight at a party. It was about love turning into pain, loyalty turning into rage, and a family torn apart by a scandal they never saw coming. Papoose stayed silent publicly, but his few cryptic social media posts spoke volumes. Lines like "some wounds don't heal" and "loyalty isn't for everybody" painted a picture of a man still hurting, still processing, still battling emotions he couldn't shake off. Fans flooded his pages with support, heartbreak, and endless speculation about what would happen next. Remy tried to move forward, but everywhere she went, the scandal followed. Every post, every appearance came with questions, judgments, and harsh opinions. The pressure was suffocating. Some insiders said she regretted everything, wishing she could undo the damage. But reality doesn't come with a rewind button. And 50 Cent? He moved on to his next controversy, like nothing happened. But even his closest fans admitted this one hit differently. The backlash didn't just slide off like it usually did. There was a stain on his reputation, a reminder that even the king of trolling could push too far. In the end, this wasn't just another tabloid tale about leaked photos or a fiery confrontation caught on camera. No, it was something far darker, far more personal. It was the story of betrayal's real price. Not just the shattered trust between two people, but the emotional fallout that spreads like wildfire, burning everyone caught in its path. This was the dangerous cocktail of love and ego, where affection turns toxic and pride refuses to let go. It showed how a private heartbreak, once whispered behind closed doors, can explode into a public spectacle, leaving scars that never quite heal, no matter how many headlines fade. The world didn't just watch. It devoured the slow-motion unraveling of what was once a powerful bond. No dramatic explosion, no quick closure. Just a steady, agonizing breakdown that played out like a tragedy in real time. The kind of unraveling where every glance, every word, every silence spoke volumes. Friends took sides, social media erupted with opinions and accusations, and the couple's once unbreakable image cracked, then splintered. What made it even more haunting was the lingering question on everyone's mind: can some wounds ever truly heal once they've been put on display? Or does the glare of public scrutiny only deepen the pain, making recovery impossible? Love, it seemed, wasn't enough to fix what pride and betrayal had broken. The emotional debris left behind was messy, raw, unpredictable, and painful, like trying to piece together glass shards after the fall. This wasn't just a story about two people. It was a cautionary tale about the cost of fame, the fragility of trust, and how sometimes the real heartbreak is surviving the spectacle itself. Because when private lives become public drama, the damage is permanent, and the world never really forgets. For those who once believed in Remy Ma and Papoose's unbreakable bond, this saga was nothing short of a gut-wrenching betrayal. It was a harsh wake-up call that even the strongest love stories, those built on years of loyalty, respect, and shared struggles, can crumble when faced with the crushing weight of deceit and public humiliation. The fairy tale that had once inspired so many now lay in ruins, shattered like fragile glass scattered across a cold floor. Their love had been a beacon in a world full of chaos, a rare union in the ruthless, cutthroat music industry. They were the power couple that weathered storms together, survived prison sentences, and built a legacy grounded in loyalty. But beneath the surface, pride and secrets festered, and when betrayal stepped in, it tore through that foundation with ruthless force. The world watched with a mixture of fascination and horror as their private pain unfolded in real time, splashed across headlines and dissected on social media like a grotesque spectacle. Friends whispered, fans debated, and critics piled on, each new revelation adding fuel to an already raging fire. What was once a love story became a cautionary tale, a public unmasking of wounds so deep, healing seemed impossible. Behind closed doors, the silence was deafening. There was no dramatic confrontation, no explosive argument to close the chapter, just the slow, agonizing unraveling of what was once sacred. The heartbreak was raw, unfiltered, and relentless, and no amount of fame or fortune could shield them from the bitter aftermath. In the end, the narrative wasn't about betrayal alone. It was about vulnerability, loss, and the tragic reality that sometimes love isn't enough to save even the strongest bonds. The fairy tale was over, and what remained was a haunting truth no one could escape. And as Papoose walked away from the wreckage, his silence said more than words ever could. Sometimes, the loudest statement is walking away from everything you fought for, because some battles, especially the ones of the heart, leave wounds that even love can't fix.